Hello everybody, welcome back. Let's have a look at some of these coins, shall we? Mainly we're just going to focus on Bitcoin, but we are going to think about what this means for altcoins as well. Obviously, it's been a good couple of days, hasn't it? So, nice significant bounce. I mean, we are on the daily here. This was our bottoming out area. Had a nice big bounce, continued to bounce, and now we're in the upper area. We're above the 20 daily moving average. As we all know, center of the Bollinger Band, once you're above there, you're more likely to stay above there than break down below it. However, there is a few things that makes me a little sort of concerned about this. Now, generally speaking, there is a very strong chance that we do continue with this, based upon well, this is what I was saying about this weekly, talking about the mega bounce. You know, we have the bouncy zone on this trend line, and here we go, we've bounced again. So the trend line on the weekly has held up very nicely, but because it's a weekly trend line, it means that we can also come back down, even you know, maybe not a full retrace, but we could. I mean, in theory, we could come all the way down to the 20 weekly, and have this trend line still intact. It's nice to see that there is rhythm to this. This is something that we've been expecting to happen for months now, actually, saying that wherever this trend line may be, at the time that the money flow index comes down to test it, it's likely to hold up. We better hope it does, because if it doesn't, we're talking about a bear market probably, but it has held up so far, which is great. Now, the thing that concerned me, if anything, which was the money flow index on the daily, and the money flow index is really good at spotting tops, not particularly good at spotting bottoms, I have to say. I mean, it's good that we got that trend line still intact, that's different, but being an oversold area on the money flow index doesn't really mean that there's a bottom or anything like that. And we are having a nice uptick on this now, but prior to this this current uptick, you know, we were making lower lows on this money flow index as candles were going up, most likely to do with shorts being wiped out. In all fairness, looking back at it, it's probably what it was. So, where are we going to go from here? Well, this is still red over here. This conversion, this Ichimoku cloud is still red over here. So there's still a good chance that we come back down again, maybe to revisit the last breakout zone of maybe about 52,000, maybe even just this simple horizontal trend line here, of around 51,500. I'm not in massive favour of the bulls, nor am I in massive favour of the bears until we take out basically 60,000. To be honest with you, I really do have to say it. I'm not going to be massively bullish until 60,000 is taken out, and we can carry on with where we left off back down here. Now, that's bullish for long-term continuation, or at least you know, significant new all-time highs into the $70,000 zones. But as we stand at the moment, even though we are above all the major moving averages, we can't deny that we have pumped significantly over the last few days, and had very little opportunity to even have a breather. So if we did retrace from here and break down to maybe the 50 exponential, which is about 55,000 at the moment, it could still be okay. But breaking down below there, probably would find our way back down here. So I'm not massively bullish, not massively bearish. I'm still on the sidelines right now, because even though we have got sort of a new low here, technically this, if we were to close around here again or even go even higher, it's okay. It looks like it could be the V-shaped recovery we were referring to. But again, you know, I'm kind of still undecided at the moment. I am probably, if anything, more in favour of a bit more of a pullback before we go up again. And those pullbacks at this zone, at this level, could actually be a continued downtrend. So that is my preference in the very short term. A bit more downside, maybe retest, maybe as low as 51,500 or so. Now, one of the other reasons I say that is if we ever bring this up here, this is the Dixie chart, and the Dixie actually had a bit of a pump, or a pump as we like to say. So, you know, we look at this and go, okay, all right, it is what it is. It was a bounce, and it bounced from this level being back down here, historical low area, where we did find a decent launch pad from. We were also stuck beneath it. So it's actually it is actually looking relatively good, in all fairness. Now, the correlation between the Dixie and Bitcoin is obviously well known. It doesn't necessarily mean that when the Dixie pumps, Bitcoin dumps. If Bitcoin's in an uptrend, if Bitcoin is strong, the Dixie can pump as well. They can all pump at the same time. It's just one way to think about extra pressure on top. But if we're thinking about a sustained uptrend for the Dixie, that's a different story. And what we have here is that this is Dixie on the weekly. We've got ourselves a cross here, conversion baseline cross, below the cloud. It's no big deal, but sometimes these crosses do have continuation. Let's have a look at how this played out the last time we had one of these crosses below the cloud, which was actually all the way down here. So we had quite a significant cross here, and we rallied quite hard from it. This cross played all the way until this zone here, just prior to Corona craziness, where we had a negative cross, then a whole mad situation, and then an effective cross over here. So we do have a cross here on the weekly. This doesn't mean it's going to rally immediately, but it doesn't even mean it's going to rally at all. But it does suggest that wherever this short would have taken place, this one here technically could have been the sell signal or the short signal, and this one has technically started to tell us that things are changing for the Dixie, and we could actually continue up, and that would have not dramatic effects, but it would have an effect on Bitcoin. So that's one reason to be not concerned, but a little bit, just keep it in the back of your mind that the Dixie is showing signs of recovery at this point now, and could very well recover to and maybe above 95. So we'll just have to wait and see how it actually plays out. It's very early days. We've got a potential uptrend beginning again on Bitcoin. We've got an uptrend beginning on Dixie. We're looking at the Dixie on the weekly, so things can take a long time. And at the end of the day, I do honestly think that Bitcoin is going to take out these all-time highs and print new all-time highs this year. Whether it does it on this run, it's hard to say. I mean, this is a bullish engulfing candle on the weekly, so it's a brand new week. No, it's not. It's going to be a brand new week next Monday. So if just a few days away. If we can close this week like this, then it would suggest that we have continuation. If we come down below areas of 55, we would be looking at perhaps further downside over the next few weeks. So it's not very insightful, I have to say. But on top of all of that, how are we going to play this Bitcoin altcoin business? Well, we're still dancing around at the 50% level. We are still bearish on this chart. This is a weekly chart. Bearish on all time frames, to be honest with you. I would expect that if we really wanted to play the game, it was to continue to do it as we've just done this last week. Wait for Bitcoin to pull back, buy into altcoins, the ones with the strong Satoshi charts. And again, on the live stream, we'll look at many of those tonight, so join me on the live stream if you're a Patreon user. If you're not, it's only £7.50 a month for 2 live streams a week. So we'll be doing that tonight, and we'll be looking at many altcoins over that 2-hour session. And that would be the plan until further notice. Bitcoin dominance could bounce here. Obviously it could. But at the moment, the setup is still technically bearish. So, Bitcoin did have a nice rally, and it had a small effect on this chart. But generally speaking, the overall direction currently is down. So we have to treat it as down. And so I would expect any Bitcoin dump takes the market with it. Then we buy back into the altcoins for the bounce, if it only is just for the bounce, which is what I've been doing. I've actually been scaling out a lot of my positions recently, and it's not because I don't expect further continuation in the long term. I just feel like it's an appropriate time to maybe think about collecting some tether, collecting some profits to hedge both sides, because worst case scenario, obviously we break down and then we look at entry points as a result of that, on the way down. That's I suppose the worst case scenario. The best case scenario is that we actually continue to break out, and then we simply just buy into the strength and sail up the uptrends as the uptrend is confirmed. So it's always worth having a reserve tether on standby. Myself, I've got a bit more than I would normally have on standby for both sides, because again, at the moment I am definitely undecided. So the best way to play an undecided move is to have the ability to play both sides, whether it's to protect your wealth by having tether, or to and then to obviously buy for these bounces, or to wait for the uptrend to officially begin and then buy into strong uptrends and then sail it up to new all-time highs. Anyway, I'll leave it with you there, but I'll see you on the live stream this evening, and I hope you have a nice day and take it easy.